LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Now listen. As we saunter down the pathway of our little lives, seemingly accelerating our pace year after year, certain things cause us to come face to face with our former selves from years and sometimes decades before. This might be during a sleepless night for some, but for me it usually involves finally diving into a project I have procrastinated doing, like digitizing home movies, scanning and cleaning up old photographs, or digging through my archives looking for podcast thumbnail photos. There I stare, sometimes wincing at my earlier self and all those choices I made. The clothes, the hair, the people I was running around with, and folks I was dating. There are always a lot of fond smiles, but also a fair share of eye-rolling and asking myself, oh my God, I really did that? As George Bernard Shaw nailed it, youth is a wonderful thing. What a crime to waste it on children. Of course, the old cliche, if I only knew then what I know now, I never would have made those lousy choices, still rings true, and I could have saved so much angst, frustration, and drama. Well, duh. But we were like puppies peeing on the kitchen floor. We just didn't know any better back then. Plus, those experiences create the fabric of our lives, or as Carole King calls it, our tapestry. And let's face it, if we had made all the right decisions, whatever right means, how much fun would we have missed out on? And our tapestry would have been one big, dull gray piece of burlap. No, the fact that we made it through and can now see, in hindsight, we were being idiots or drama queens, that's a good thing, to quote Martha Stewart. Now, I don't consider myself a drama queen. Well, not often. I just don't thrive on it. I suppose I always have and still do like my drama in Mary Tyler Moore Show or Brady Bunch or even Golden Girls-sized pieces. The plot thickens by the first commercial break, but then is resolved by the end of the half hour, and we've all learned something. Mary is a stronger person than she thought she was. Jan Brady isn't quite the mess she thought she was, but still is an issue-laden middle child. And Blanche Devereaux, well, she's still a slut. I have a few friends who seem to seek out drama, yet never seem to learn anything from the drama they caused. For instance, I have a few friends who never hold on to jobs. I mean never. It's all well documented on social media for the world to see. Having been sacked from their last job, they are excited to start their new job. The number of Facebook likes and caring emojis add up. But within months, they start posting things about the new job that they find annoying, or worse, people they find annoying. And already I can see where this is going. I always chicken out at writing on their wall, maybe you should just stop posting stuff on social media every 2 hours when you're supposed to be working, and you wouldn't be getting marched down to HR 3 months after you start every job. Just a thought, but I don't. And then it's on to the next job, not having learned a thing. They're still peeing on the kitchen floor. One of my favorite singer-songwriters, Peter Allen, whose life and work was immortalized in the jukebox musical The Boy from Oz, wrote the great song Everything Old is New Again, about how eventually everything comes back around. The older I get and the more photos and movies I digitize, I realize that's just the damn truth. Case in point, Bill and I were out for a walk on Santa Monica Beach on my day off, and there were all these girls wearing string bikinis and huge false eyelashes. I remember big false eyelashes being popular in the 60s and 70s, but the ones now, they are so huge. It's like you hot-glued tarantulas to your eyelids. And with all that weight pulling down on your eyelids, these poor girls kept blinking like they were having seizures. And the string bikinis? Oh, ladies, come on. I wanted to ask them, didn't they have that in your size? On our mere 7-mile walk along the shore, we saw dozens of honey boo-boos wearing nothing but ill-fitting macrame plant hangers. It was not pretty. Those were popular back in the 60s as well, but back then, eating disorders were all the rage, so they at least fit in their string bikinis. Of course, I should talk. Having worn desert boots, bell-bottoms, and feathered hair through much of my tenure at Urbandale High School in Iowa during the 1970s, My world was turned upside down by a new girl named Lexi who arrived from Southern California during junior year. Lexi was a welcome outsider who brought with her stories and fashions from LA and joined the high school drama department. She told us all about the coming new wave music and clothes. She herself sported thin men's ties, skinny slacks, and these pointy shoes called Winklepickers that had first been popular with 50s rockers, but were making a resurgence with the new wave and punk crowd. Yep, just like the song, everything old was new again. My friend Tony and I desperately wanted to be cool and new wave like Lexi. We bought these fabric shoes with see-through acrylic soles with a slight heel called crayons. My shoes had orange plastic heels and Tony's were purple. We found skinny ties to wear in this funky store at Merle Hay Mall called Merry-Go-Round, which sold cheaply made trendy clothes and was kept so dark they really needed to have their price tags in Braille because you couldn't read them. We came to Urbandale High School decked out in our crayon shoes, skinny ties, red plastic sunglasses, and leg warmers. Yes, really. Thinking we were so hip and new wave. None of our classmates thought so. And then, to add insult to injury, Lexi took one look and said, "You guys, that is not new wave." "Yes, it is," Tony and I defensively argued. "No," Lexi pointed out, "I'm from LA and wearing your jeans inside out is definitely not new wave." I guess she had a point. Thankfully, another clothing trend was making a resurgence 20 years or so after the 1950s, and that was the preppy craze. Something about it. Maybe it was my father's long time romanticizing the 1950s as the only good decade this country ever had. Or maybe I had some kind of latent aversion to the polyester flammable clothing of the 70s. Or I was just sick of trying to fit my size 13 amoeba feet into Winklepickers. But I dove into the preppy craze with abandon. The only bad thing about preppy fashion, Izod shirts and Ralph Lauren khakis, couldn't be purchased at the dimly lit merry-go-round store. You had to pay retail at upscale Yonkers department store where you could actually read the price tags, and this stuff wasn't cheap. But I embraced the preppy craze and never left it for 40 years. Thank you very much. I guess everything old really is new again. Well, except me. You can certainly drop a ton of money on plastic surgery, getting filled and poked and pulled back. I had fabulous thick 80s MTV hair during the actual 80s, so when my hair first started thinning, I completely panicked. I began using Rogaine, which had just come out on the market, and you needed a prescription. Plus, it was like $60 a bottle. I think it delayed or slowed the inevitable hair loss for a while, but you were basically pouring a $60 bottle of rubbing alcohol on your scalp, which dried it to a crisp. I finally had to choose between knocking off the Rogaine and losing my hair, or going bald because I was scratching my dry scalp raw like some kind of rhesus monkey. During COVID, I hadn't seen my mom for a year and a half and took my first post-vaccinated pandemic trip back to the motherland of Iowa. I had sent Mom some selfies during the pandemic, and she had mentioned, "Boy, your hair is really getting gray." Gee, thanks, Mom. When I arrived back home, she mentioned she had some shampoo in the bathroom she wanted me to try when I was there. It was a bright purple shampoo that supposedly took the yellow out of your gray hair. You're kidding me, right, Mom? I remember going with my Grandma May to this house in her neighborhood where Gertrude had a beauty shop on the first floor. The beauty operators, as they were called, were washing this blue shampoo into all the old ladies' hair. It too was supposed to tone down the gray. I acquiesced and used Mom's purple shampoo while I was there, and after a couple of times, Mom said, "Oh, it's really making a difference." Really, Mom? A little purple in what's left of my hair is not going to make you look younger, dear. Blue hair, purple hair, no hair, I can't be new again. And you know, when I consider the alternative and realize that many of my friends I spent my sometimes beleaguered youth with no longer have the options I had because, well, they're dead, it kind of makes you stop and put it all in perspective. And thank God New Wave hasn't returned, or, well, if it did, I wasn't paying attention. Yes, Mr. George Bernard Shaw, youth was a wonderful thing, but I don't feel it was wasted on this child. And you know why? I have the scars, the wrinkles, the laugh lines, and the 3 hairs, 2 of which are gray, to prove it. And I stopped figuratively peeing on the kitchen floor years ago. Thank you very much.
LOL take 2. LOL take 2. LOL take 2.